Hey folks, today we're diving into one of the most gut-wrenching moments in the entire Targaryen saga, the brutal end of Rhaenyra Targaryen. If you're a fan of House of the Dragon or George R. R. Martin's Fire and Blood, you know this story is packed with betrayal, dragons, and enough family drama to make your Thanksgiving look tame. But if you're new to it, don't worry. I'll break it down step by step, keeping things clear and straightforward. We're pulling straight from the books, with a nod to how the show might handle it, and sticking to the facts without any fluff. Let's get into it.
Dracarys!
First off, who was Rhaenyra Targaryen? In Fire and Blood, she's introduced as the realm's delight, the only surviving child of King Viserys I and his first wife, Aemma Arryn. Born in 97 AC, she grew up spoiled, fierce, and fully expecting to rule. Viserys named her his heir when she was just 8 years old, after her mother's death in childbirth and the loss of several brothers. This was a big deal because Westeros had never had a ruling queen before. The Great Council of 101 AC had set a precedent favoring male heirs, but Viserys bucked that trend, making lords swear oaths to support Rhaenyra. She bonded with her dragon Syrax early on, and by her teens she was married to Laena Velaryon, the son of Corlys Velaryon, who is famously known as the Sea Snake. Rhaenyra and Laena's union was more political than passionate. However, they had 3 sons, Jacaerys, Lucerys, and Joffrey, but whispers always followed them, claiming they weren't Laena's kids at all, but fathered by Harwin Strong. In both the books and House of the Dragon, the boys have dark hair and features, unlike the typical silver-blonde Valyrian look of the Targaryens and Velaryons, leading to whispers that they were Harwin's children. After Laena's death, Rhaenyra quickly wed her uncle Daemon Targaryen, adding 2 more sons, Aegon the Younger and Viserys. Now, the real trouble kicks off with the Dance of the Dragons, the civil war that tears House Targaryen apart. In the book, it starts right after Viserys dies in 129 AC. Rhaenyra, pregnant and on Dragonstone, expects to inherit the Iron Throne as promised. But her stepmother Alicent Hightower and the Greens, supporters of Alicent's son Aegon II, move fast. They crown Aegon II in King's Landing, claiming Viserys changed his mind on his deathbed. Rhaenyra, furious, declares herself queen from Dragonstone, rallying her blacks. The show captures this tension perfectly in Season 1, with Emma Darcy bringing that quiet intensity to Rhaenyra's resolve. But remember, House of the Dragon is an adaptation, so while it follows the book's broad strokes, it tweaks details, like making Rhaenyra more reluctant to start the war than her book counterpart, who was quicker to embrace the fight. The war escalates quickly. Early on, Rhaenyra loses her son Lucerys to Aemon Targaryen's dragon, Vhagar at Storm's End, a scene the show nailed with its stormy chase and tragic accident vibe. In Fire and Blood, this sparks blood and cheese, the horrific retaliation where assassins kill Aegon II's young son Jaehaerys. The book describes it in grim detail. The killers force Queen Helaena to choose which child dies, then kill the other one anyway. The show softened it a bit, focusing on the bungled hit and Helena's trauma, but the core horror remains. As the dance drags on, both sides rack up losses. Rhaenyra's forces claim some wins, like the Battle of the Gullet where her son Jacaerys dies heroically on Vermax, but the Greens strike back hard. In the book, the turning point for Rhaenyra comes when her blacks captured King's Landing in 130 AC. She sits the Iron Throne for about 6 months, earning the nickname the Half-Year Queen. But ruling isn't easy. The city is broke from the war, and Rhaenyra imposes harsh taxes to refill the coffers. People start calling her Maegor with teats, comparing her to the cruel King Maegor the Cruel. Paranoia sets in. She executes supposed traitors left and right, including her own advisors. The show might portray this period with more nuance, showing Rhaenyra's desperation rather than outright tyranny, especially since it humanizes her more than the book's biased narrators do. Fire and Blood is written as a history by Archmaester Gilding, who draws from unreliable sources like Mushroom the Fool or Septon Eustace, so the accounts vary. One version paints Rhaenyra as bloodthirsty, another as a victim of circumstance. Things fall apart during the riots in King's Landing. In the book, it starts with Helena's suicide. Some say she jumped from Maegor's holdfast, others claim Rhaenyra had her killed. Whichever it is, the small folk blame Rhaenyra and rise up. Chaos erupts, the dragon pit is stormed, and 5 dragons are slain by the mob. Rhaenyra's youngest son Joffrey, just 11, tries to mount Syrax to fight back but falls to his death when the dragon bucks him off amid the frenzy. With the city in flames, Rhaenyra flees with her remaining son Aegon the Younger, her ladies, and a handful of guards. They sell her crown for passage on a ship, hopping from Rossby to Duskendale, scraping by on whatever they can. It's a far cry from her days as the pampered princess. They head to Dragonstone, her stronghold, thinking it's safe, but betrayal waits her at Dragonstone. Her council member, Ser Alfred Broome, who she left in charge, has switched sides to the Greens. Slaughters Rhaenyra's loyalists and captures her, And who is hiding behind all this? Aegon II himself, smuggled in earlier after surviving the Battle of Rook's Rest, where he was badly burned and crippled. His dragon Sunfyre, also badly wounded and half-blind, is there too. In Fire and Blood, Aegon II confronts his half-sister from a litter, mocking her downfall. He spares her son Aegon for now, but orders a fate worse than death for Rhaenyra. Here's where it gets brutal. Aegon commands Sunfyre to devour her, right in front of her son. The book details this brutal moment vividly. Sunfyre, scarred from battles, isn't interested on devouring the queen at first. However, when Ser Broome pricks Rhaenyra's breast to draw blood, this arouses the dragon. Sunfyre blasts her with flame, setting a knight's cloak ablaze nearby. Then Sunfyre proceeds to bite into her, tearing off an arm and shoulder. It takes 6 chomps to finish her off, leaving only her left leg below the shin. Rhaenyra, at 33 years old, lets out one last curse at her brother before the end. This happens on the 22nd day of the 10th moon in 130 AC. Game of Thrones referenced this brutal death years ago. Joffrey gleefully tells Margaery that Rhaenyra was eaten by her brother's dragon while her son watched, and Stannis Baratheon's daughter, Shireen, recounts the dance to Ser Devos as a disaster that crippled the Targaryens forever. Will the show do it the same way? House of the Dragon show has already changed some deaths for impact, like making Lena Velaryon's suicide a dragon-assisted act instead of childbirth complications, or altering Rhaenys' heroic fall at Rook's Rest. It is possible they might tone down the gore for Rhaenyra to keep her sympathetic, perhaps focusing on her son's horror or adding a defiant speech to spice things up a little. But the core betrayal at Dragonstone, Aegon II's revenge, Sunfyre's feast, should stay, especially since it's iconic. As of Season 2's end, we're building toward the fall of King's Landing, so this could hit in Season 3 or 4 depending on pacing. The showrunners have said they'll wrap the dance in 4 seasons total, so Rhaenyra's arc might stretch to the finale. After her death, the war doesn't end cleanly. In Fire and Blood, Aegon II reclaims King's Landing, but he's a broken man, ruling from an iron chair because the Iron Throne rejects him. Literally, it cuts him. He plans to mutilate young Aegon as payback, but he got poisoned instead, likely by his own side. Rhaenyra's son becomes Aegon III, the Dragonbane, haunted by his mother's fate and overseeing the dragon's decline. So what is Rhaenyra's legacy? The half-year queen is remembered as a usurper by some and a rightful queen by others. The dance weakens the Targaryens' dynasty so much that by Daenerys' time, they're shadows of their former selves. But Rhaenyra's fight paves the way for future queens, proving women could claim power, even if it cost everything. It's a stark reminder of how power corrupts in Westeros. Rhaenyra starts idealistic, but ends paranoid and isolated. The book hammers home the tragedy, siblings tearing each other apart over a throne that destroys them all. If you're watching the show, savor Rhaenyra's moments now. Her end is coming, and it's as raw as they get. Thanks for sticking with me through this. Hit like if you want more deep dives into the lore, and drop a comment on how you think the show will handle it. See you in the next video.